So who owns my data? This actually is a policy paper. I'd like to find out if at all it's possible for us at the end of the discussion that we have even touched it, because it's a huge concept which we're trying to bring to the fore, starting right with what about the data and where do I bring it from? This is Yenepoya Medical College, Mangalore, and it also has, incidentally, most primitive tribal group as a population. So when we talk of data, we're not talking about uniformly of people who can understand, but also of people who don't even know what the data is all about and what is it that it is shared for. So India has 1/5 the human population on this planet. And with great population, great power comes a great responsibility. And are we in a position to handle it well? Are we in a position to give responsibility of handling this particular data? And especially when India went in for giving a uniform identifying number to everybody, a 12-digit code, which connected a person with all the demographic data, as well as now the healthcare is also being added, the health-related data. Now, this has got a loophole where a person for less than $7, you could even buy up to 30,000 people's information, the data that could be connected with all other relevant personal informations. And with a bit more money, you could get many people's ID as well, like a social security number that's out in public for anybody to grab. So then, what could be the consequence if such a leak happens? And if it is, and which could easily be converted into harm to many of the people. So if a biobank is functioning and is connected to this, would that also result in that knowledge becoming on the public domain? So among the ethical issues that we look at, the consent, it's troubling enough to know that it's difficult to get them to understand about a consent, but a dynamic consent, a multi-tiered consent, even to be able to talk to a person who is contributing is a tough task. And the issues of reconsent, and especially anonymized versus identifiable, it's a complex issue, all right, but then how are we certain that we have given this information to the person who is making a decision? So ultimately, does it just boil down to a signature or a thumbprint to say, I have understood it? So the issue of confidentiality and data protection, the more we assure, the more we are unsure of ourselves, how are we handling, and the big data management. Now, even in the ICMR guideline, it says that the particular data can be used for forensic purpose as well. What about the trust? And initially, we had fewer ethics committees. Now we also have a problem of mushrooming of ethics committees. There are members, all right, but how trained are they? And they're trained, all right, but are they current? And are they aware of the changing tectonic plate of the science that's progressing and their inefficiencies or gaps? And about the awareness about the future use. When in our own guidelines, we are not very particular and specific about it, then do we know that all of us are on the same page when we discuss certain issues? Or is it left for us to see what is right, like especially some of the guidelines are not very particular? So I'd like to say that these 6 key elements, starting right from respecting the donor-donee samples, consulting with the participants, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits. And this was what was proposed by Cheng and Pang. And having done that, when we have to continue with the engagement programs and ensuring the quality of data. Quality has always been an Achilles tendon. We haven't been able to maintain any. And by defining private sector role in the research. So these are some of the elements put forward, and maybe if they are put into policy, it will go a long way in making a more responsible argument for having a shared data. The weakness is also in our own, within the guidelines and across the guidelines. We are not on the same page, be it with material transfer agreement, with shifting of the samples abroad, or even within the guidelines, whether it should be shared for forensic purpose, because as it goes, it cannot be done. So at the end of this, I would say The song that I came to sing remains unsung. The time was given in stringing of the instrument. Although that happens, it is still worth it, my friends, because a lot of time needs in fine tuning before we embark on such a high journey. And that is a musical instrument by name Veena. So thank you.